All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite dark sorcerer here, and today, I kind of want to give you an update, kind of furthering what I've been practicing. My last video, I kind of just let you know, hey, I'm still kicking, I'm still practicing and researching, and I'm still studying the occult and practices of how should I say this? My root workings, if you will, of where the spirits are leading me. And the last few days, I've been working a lot with Roanoff, who is a Maquis within the Goetic tradition of Grimoire, demonolatry. And it's ironic because not only am I working with him, but I'm working with a couple other spirits that I'm not going to mention here. Okay. One of which happens to be my patroness. Okay. And technically, both of these other two spirits are my patronesses. But because of their two different types of magic, if you will. So, with that said, why don't we get into this? So, I've been going over a lot of details because over the last few days, I've been really hitting the inner sanctum, been really hitting invocations and evocations. I've been using a method known as the Kenahydron. Okay, and this is something that, hey, the Black Tower, welcome. So this is a path that allows you to get into a type of ritual, form of meditation, but more so in a way to invoke or evoke the spirits within a black scrying mirror. You can invoke many different types. And I've been doing this now as a necromancer for the better part of the last year. And it's interesting because lately, since I started working with Roanoff, he's been teaching me a lot about the roads to power, the paths to, how should I say this, spiritual enslavement, if you will, the way to guiling somebody. Okay. And through my current job, I've really been paying attention to this because there are certain individuals from management down to certain individuals that you have to really watch what you say. Okay. And the reason for that is because they will stab you in the back. Okay. And I'm talking with a big old twist. Now, a lot of times you see it coming because you know who's doing it. But those few that you just don't see coming, that's the surprise. So I started working with Rowanov and kind of learning about the roads to power, the roads to manipulation and deceit, if you will. Playing playing that role of half truth, if you will, taking the role of the serpent, speaking the truth, but also kind of deceiving people because you don't want to give the whole truth, but you don't want to give them the perception that, oh, you're an easy target. No. Those who truly want to learn will do the work themselves. The people that you work with, the people that you surround yourself with when you're at work or your friends and family, well, as I told my better half yesterday, because I ended up getting around a couple of dogs and my eye just swelled up like a freaking 8-day balloon. I told her, I said, I'm allergic to bullshit, BS. She laughed at that one. Well, if you think about it, this is kind of like that. It's you are allergic to BS and you tend to see this. Because I work in a location where Catholics tend to roam, they have ceremonies there, they do their stuff there, and they literally put down all the residents that are not Catholic, basically because of this or that reason. And then you got management, like I said, and you have other people, your coworkers that will sit there and they'll act like your friend, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, I'm going to stab you in the back, or I'm going to lie about you. I'm going to tell stories about you. Well, Roanoff is one of those goetic spirits that will actually help you to not only get around these, but to actually foresee them. And I really like how he's been teaching me, kind of showing me, this is what you've forgotten, this is what you need to start doing. And what's ironic about this is over the last month, I've got a coworker who's a chef, okay? And I've talked about this a little bit in past videos where I'm a dietary aide. Okay, basically I'm the bitch of the kitchen, if you will, but I'm the head dietary aide, which is cool. Because I do all the prep work, I do the dishes, I set up the dining hall, I get to associate with the residents and all that stuff. So I mean, in my opinion, it's beneficial for me because of the fact that I'm around death and dying, the terminal ill and all that stuff, because as a thanatologist and somebody who's studying thanatology and anthropology as a practicing necromancer, this is something that is beneficial. And these spirits have really been guiding me towards this. So the last 8 months, this is what I've been doing. But now it's more the path working of, okay, I'm going to lead you into these areas. And now I have a coworker, like I said, who is from Nigeria. He's kind of got dual citizenship between Ghana and Nigeria, but he lives here in the U.S. And like I said, he's my superior, if you will. And it's very interesting because in this case, he comes from an ancestral lineage of Voodoo. Okay, and he's actually taking me underneath his wing as his apprentice, which is awesome. Now, like I said in past videos, I've studied voodoo in the past, and I've really felt drawn to Haitian voodoo in particular. And then last year, I ended up getting back into voodoo as and the African Caribbean traditions. I started getting back into Pedro Mayumbi, Pedro Monte Santeria, and as of last fall, Brujeria. Okay, I've really enjoyed these root workings and these ancestral lineages that date back to Africa itself, the Congo, Ethiopia, Malawi, Ghana, Nigeria. These regions of Western Africa. So it's been very, very beneficial, and so recently, like I said, I started working with Roanoff, and between him and my two patronesses from this other tradition that I've been working with for the last 4 years, 3, 4 years now, have really guided me and kept me right in the African Caribbean traditions. Don't ask me why. I mean, it started out going through from Africa up into the Middle East, and then through Russian black magic, and then all of a sudden down back into Voodoo and back into the Caribbean traditions. So here we are again. It's like a renewal of that circle and getting right back into Voodoo. And it's very insightful because right now, as of today, I was sitting there with my son over at Tim Hortons, just across the river, and The terminology came to mind. What makes a tradition within either initiated or uninitiated? Do you have to go out and find people that are practitioners to begin practicing any of these traditions? The answer is no, you don't. And that's something that is very apparent because some of the most powerful magicians and sorcerers and sorceresses out there, like the Capilata or the Boko, Bokor, depending if you're a Creole, Haitian, or African-based traditions, really show you is that the Marimberos is somebody who uses black magic and healing magic to do what they do. The Bokor is somebody who uses both hands, both white magic and black magic. They heal and they curse, but it's more than that. Even if you get into pagan and Wiccan traditions, we have the witch and the warlock. Nowadays, the terms have become more corrupted in worldly views within sexual orientation, preference, whatever, or it's become synonymous with either the Welsh or the Anglo-Saxon variation of betrayer, oathbreaker, devil worshiper. You know what I'm saying? So it's really comes down to the etymology, and what it is a lot of these so-called groups that are in power today, they want you to spend countless amounts of money just to become initiated into their traditions, be it a pedestal, be it a house, be it a coven, no matter what. And like I said, today I was sitting there and I was thinking about this while doing research because I had bought a journal and I started delving back to Haitian Voodoo and getting into the traditions again, and this time more on a spiritual notion, not a physical or a religious perspective, but more of a spiritualist because of the ancestral lineage. And I came across the term Caplata and Bokor again, and it got me thinking. I love how these spirits do that. It's just bam, you just start thinking about it. And it's like, okay, so you delve back in, you end up getting this gnosis, and you get that sense of enlightenment because they've revealed something new to you. And in this case, it's more or less the fact that you don't need to become initiated. It does help, especially from that of, say, the original traditions, such as Nigerian and Ghana Voodoo, or that of Haitian Voodoo. But because you, and this is because you learn the inner workings, the mechanics behind the rituals, such as the dancing, the reasoning behind them. It would be like joining shamanism and learning about the dream walking and the reason for putting the drums into play. Okay. And it's very enlightening to see that I've had conversations with Mambos, I've had conversations with Hugans, I've had conversations with a Bokor once. Okay, those of you who've been around for a while, you probably have heard the name Guy Creasy. Okay, I was friends with him for a while, I think it was like a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he just disappeared from my friends list on Facebook. But I had a conversation with him about apprenticeships and what does he do then? What do you do, for apprenticeships? And it was interesting because he looked at me and he says, I don't teach. It's got nothing to do with the tradition. It's a personal choice between me and Bandai. Bandai is the name for God in Voodoo. Okay, the overall god. It would be like Satan or Lucifer within demonolatry. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's what tradition of magic you're in. There's always going to be like, say, for example, those intermediary spirits, like, say, for example, the goetic or ranked demons. the Jinn, the Devi, or the Orisha. You got two different types of spellings for the Loa, and that's what they are. Is that those intermediaries who can guide you and teach you? So I ended up getting underneath Google while I was there. Finally got around the firewall aspect of that, of that thing. But thanks to some friends of mine who know more about technology than me, and I started looking into various different traditions. And one of the things that hit me was the 21 divisions of Voodoo. 21 divisions. The Boko is just one of these divisions, and they go back to a portion known as um, let me see if I can pronounce this right. Abakua. Okay, Abakua is considered to be one of two things. It's one of a division of Bokors, meaning there's a godfather that rules over all Bokors, and that of a province or region of Nigeria for this. And basically, I wouldn't say it's just in Nigeria or Ghana, but it's more of a specific region where they practice. Okay. Now, what's interesting is there was also another link that describes a man that was apparently a slave. Okay. He was basically a zombie. And learning the spirits, the Loa that they work with and what they synonymous with working with, like say Simbi, for an example, the snake goddess, or Papa Legba, the gate opener. You also have, let's see if I can pronounce this Loa's name right here. It's Keflu or Kilfu, something like that. And let me just look real fast here. It's yeah, Kelfu, Kelfu, Kalfu. Okay, Kelfu, who basically is the crossroads. He's the lower of the crossroads, and then you have Baron Samedi, the lower of the dead. So, as a necromancer, I've always been attracted to Baroness Dambella. I've been attracted to working with Papa Gedi. I've been attracted to working with Baron Semedi even. Okay, since I started getting interested in Voodoo. And all of this seems to be playing a role between the African and Caribbean traditions, and I'm not sure why. Okay. Now, I don't know why these spirits are suddenly bringing me right back into this type of working, the root workings. But even in hoodooism, there is a lot of traditions that feed into this, much like Brujeria practices. And uh, one of the things that has very much been become apparent to me, at least, and it's not just me. There's also, and I did look this up here on YouTube as well, is even Bokor Leonard Imera spoke on this as well in one of his older videos of what it means to be a good sorcerer, and most importantly, what it means. How do you get into Haitian Voodoo as a practitioner? And it was interesting to hear his perspective of this because my elder, he comes from a lineage of practicing voodooists. I've got friends who practice voodoo, and now I'm working at a company who one of my bosses, okay, one of my superiors, who is basically the second in command of the kitchen at the moment, until at least until my manager decides to, you know, retire. Um, he he practices Voodoo from Nigeria, and like I said, Ghana. So it's awesome to see how he's willing to teach me. So he actually gave me my first spell. Okay, and And so I went out and I ordered the items, three items, one of which is known as 999 cent, 999 cent incense. Okay. Then you have what is known as six flowers oil and six flowers um, perfume. Okay, it's basically an oil perfume. So you have to put all three of these together. Now I'm not sure what this ritual and this rite entails, but he's gonna when they all these items get here, I'm looking forward to it. That's all I gotta say because this is something that is synonymous here. It's something that's exciting. It's something that really speaks to me, and I'm looking forward to doing it. And because he also said that, and I'm going to quote this, is it's basically one of the only types of rights you're going to really need to learn. And I'm like, okay. So as I'm researching and reading up on these various different types of practitioners through initiation or uninitiated perspectives, guess what? You don't need to be initiated. Yes, it helps to get a further, how should I say this? A more deeper connection to the spirits that you're going to be working with. Yes. But for the most part, it shows respect to the Loa, the Orisha, the Devi, the demons. Yeah, it shows a lot of respect and consideration for what they do. But for the most part, you don't need it. You don't need to be initiated. You don't need to be categorized by initiation processes, some of which I might add are quite painful. Okay. If you look at some of the Haitian or Cuban rituals, or even the South American traditions of Quimbanda, Umbanda type rituals, they're considered to be the most bloodiest. Quimbanda and Umbanda, the most bloodiest initiation rites that you can ever see. But if you get into Voodoo, you're going to see other types of rites. Pedo Mayumbi, other rites such as the rite of cutting, for an example, bloodletting, initiation process, which leaves a Y on your shoulder or some part of your body, your anatomy, and you never know where it's coming from because this takes place over a 5 6 hour period, sometimes longer, depending on the individual who is becoming an initiate of those traditions. So I've gotten back into Haitian Voodoo. I'm delving into it from a wide range of perspectives. And this is where I'm at right now. I'm looking forward to this as a practicing necromancer, as a traditional Satanist. I am definitely with open arms, open mind, delving into this again. And so far, it's been enlightening, it's been educational, and I'm loving it. Okay. So that's pretty cool. The Black Tower. A tripod stand with a convex plate. Never considered that myself. I use the circle of empowerment, you know, on the floor, the triangle of evocation, and like I said, the Kenahydron practice is very, very much enlightening because you got like 9 candles around you. You can set up 4 candles that go between the circle and the triangle of evocation. So overall, you're using like 13 candles. I recommend tea leaf candles if that's the way you want to go. And then you have obviously you have your main altar that you can light the candles and the incense on. You can put incense down on the floor, such as let's go with raisin incense, charcoal. You can use wax warmers. Depending if you're in a apartment that is used for either smoking or non-smoking, I would recommend paying attention to that aspect. because the alarms can be annoying. Um, but for the most part, you want to have incense, enough lighting so that if you have to do any reading, let's say for an example, you're doing, well, I don't know, let's go with some form of ritual, and you have to do a reading to of evocations to get to know the spirits. Let's say for an example, the seven Olympic spirits. Either way, you want to, if you're going to be calling them as individuals, you want something simplistic, but also something that's effective. And if you're working either as a solitary or as a collective, then you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Now, the people that I associate with, a lot of them are solitary practitioners, just like myself. I no longer do the covens because it just doesn't end well, at least for me, anyways. I've been in two different covens, and both times they've a lot of the members just basically either walk away due to lack of activity, um, interest, or they just can't hack it. The last one, basically, most of the members died. So it's like, yeah, screw it. I'm better off by myself, so and it is very impressive and awesome because when you go into a job, you're basically the low man on the totem pole, and especially when you start something new. And a lot of over the last year, since last fall, I've really gone further into spiritualism. I'm talking devotion, dedicated, committed study, research, and practice of what I've been applying and learning. So yes, devotion and honoring the spirits is something that is very, very good. So yes, I agree with you, the Black Tower. Um, Basilisk of Darkness and Light. Welcome to the channel. Don't think I've seen you on here before, but if you have been, I'm sorry. I didn't notice till now. So yeah, so like I said, there's a lot of changes coming. There's a lot of things that I'm doing. I'm not online as much anymore, and I'm not going to be online as much. One of the things that as I stated to a friend and brother of mine, is and fellow necromancer, is I want to keep the knowledge and the practices pure. I do not want my practices or that of what I do, especially that of what the spirits are showing me, to become watered down or corrupted. There's too much of that in in the occult and various different communities of practices these days. Too much corruption, too much watered down, too much laziness. And to be frank, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the lack of activity and people getting involved and actually growing. There's very, very few people that I would personally associate with because, and I can count them mostly on one hand, okay? Maybe a little bit more. And that's because they choose to do their own work, their own research, and their own studies, and they're learning and they're applying it to their life and to their practices, just like I'm doing. And these are the type of people that I want to be around. So, as a ordained minister of the arts, I am an ambassador between the spirits and the mundane. So it's my job to uphold these practices and keep them pure, just like it would be for any other spiritual advisor. Okay? If you're an ordained clergyman or woman, be it a caplata or a merenderos, a witch or a warlock, if you are considered to be a priest or priestess, a man or woman of your particular faith, it is your duty to uphold the honor and honor the traditions. Don't let them become corrupted or watered down. There's too much of that today. And I have to agree with Reverend Cain in his what he said in his book, the Satanic Philosopher. A lot of these traditions are watered down. They're corrupted, and to save them, you have to sever all ties with the corruption. You have to go back to basics, and you have to do the research and apply it. I've always said two things. Whatever you preach, always back it up, okay, with multiple different sources. And the way I look at it is like this: archaeology, history, folklore, and mythology. If these are aligned within any given topic, you're good. But if they do not align, get the fuck away from them. Just get the hell away from them, because it means it's corrupted or it's watered down and it's half truth. Okay? You got to watch what you say, because and you got to watch how you approach things, especially in the workplace or amongst your coworkers, friends, and family, because let's face it, your family is the one group of people that can hurt you the most. Okay? Your friends, your coven mates, these people come and go. Those who truly are your friends, those who are truly dedicated to the path of knowledge, wisdom, education, keepers of the secrets, which is what a witch and warlock were originally about back in the old days. If you look at the etymologies of the different regions, they were the keepers of the secret knowledge, the wisdom. Okay? Does not matter if you're into the African Caribbean tradition, does not matter if you're into necromancy, shamanism, doesn't matter if you're a Hexa, a Strega, an Eshi, an Aji, Bokor, Caplata, Hungan, Membo, does not matter. Those are just titles of the priests and priestesses. It is your duty to uphold these and keep them in the honored position. Okay? And the second thing that I've always preached for the better part of the last decade, always make yourself available. You see, this is what groups like Bald don't understand. You can put content out there, but eventually, if somebody that's mentally ill or mentally challenged makes a conscious decision to go out and slaughter half the fucking world, guess what? You're guilty by association because you put that content out there. Okay? You put that content out there. Matthew Lawrence, aka EA Cowedding, it's his company. It's his organization, his tower, his religious foundation, be it church, temple, whatever he wants to call it. Spald, How to Become a Living God. It's his little baby. Well, guess what? He didn't make himself available to the public. I think out of the whole time I've watched his videos, he only replied to one person in a video. And that was the kid coming at devil worship from a Christianized perspective. You, as an individual, no matter what you do as a minister, as a clergyman, or woman, as an elder of a church, temple, say order, or even a coven for that matter, if you put content out there, you are responsible. You, not your followers. Yes, whatever actions they take, they have to take responsibility for. But if it's your book that they got it from, you might want to answer to the people. I answer to the people, just like I answer to the spirits. I am that ambassador. I am that intermediary between the spirit world and the physical world. Welcome to being a man of the cloth, if you will. And yes, I just used a Christianized term there. I am not a Christian, nor will I ever be. I am a man of the magical traditions, and I am a spiritualist. I breathe, eat, sleep, you name it, these practices, which is why I no longer do live lessons, why I no longer do live videos that often. I do this for the purity of that which I practice. No matter what my enemies say, no matter what the rumors are, those are just rumors. I don't give a shit. Matters little to me. So, yeah, that's basically where I'm at in Black Tower. That's where I'm at. That's why over the last month I didn't put out any. About back on the 9th, I put out one video saying, "Hey, I'm still kicking. I'm still researching. I'm still practicing." You know, so this is the second video now in this month alone. But I kind of want to just kind of forward what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Not just not just saying, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," but I'm also still taking on apprentices, and at least those true to the practices that they do. And I do charge for my services. This is something that will never change. But this is another topic that I came across that it was like, wow, it made you think because I look at my elder, and my elder charges roughly about $1,000 for a ritual for his services. My teachers charge anywhere between 150 to $300. I started out charging only $75, you know, before I upped my prices to 2 to $300. I mean, a consultation was only 150 for an hour, and that includes every question that you can think of, you know. And I was told your prices are way too low, even at $300 for baneful sorcery. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, why would it be considered too low? So I started poking around, and I realized, okay, Frank White, also know, the founder of um, the Grail of the Serpent, doesn't accept anything under 6, 7 figures. And it's like, damn, these guys have been around for a while, and they're charging like 3, 4 times what I'm doing. So it's like, on one half you're kind of wondering, is it a greed thing? But is there something I'm just missing? Because I've spent my entire career not associating with the world's drama. What's going on in the world. I didn't give a damn about politics. I didn't care about wars, who's becoming president. I don't get, this is stuff that never mattered to me. It's like learning technology. It's just like I stayed away from it. So it's learning from the spirits is a good thing, but when you're dealing with pricing and everything, I mean, even going as far back as the ancient shamans, the shamanistic traditions, you look at where these practitioners resided. They they lived right next to the king's huts in the villages of Africa. They were highly sought after, before any action was taken. You go into European traditions, you go into Anglo-Saxon, Viking traditions, even the Druids of ancient Gaelic traditions. You see where these practitioners were consulted before any action was taken. You go into the European tradition, the shaman or the witch lived right on the outskirts of town or out in the boonies, and people with money would give them the money for their services, whereas those who couldn't pay would trade something of equal value. And this was something that was brought up to me by an elder of mine, and it was like, wow, a trading for something of equal value here. And I was like, wait, I remember reading about this. I remember studying about this. You know what I'm saying? So this stuff has always gone hand in hand. I just never, applied it until recently, over the last couple of years. So, because I used to give my knowledge out freely. Now it's my time is valuable. Okay? My time. Not your time, my time. Okay? So, which is why I don't publish videos anymore on education. Why I don't teach publicly no more. And so all of this stuff really does play into effect. I mean, even the Bokor, Leonard and Mira even did a video on this from a Santeria and Vudan and Palo perspective of what it means to be a good sorcerer and learning from your mistakes and not doing those mistakes again. And when you look at the occult community, no matter what tradition, you're seeing nobody's learning from their mistakes. They're not learning from history. They're doing the same old. And it's not just in a religious perspective, it's also in the mundane and worldly perspectives. They're just following blindly the herd conformity. And it's like, this is stuff I don't want to be associated with. I don't want to be associated with corruption. I don't want to be associated with watered down materials. I want to keep it pure. That's where I'm at. So to have my two patronesses, a couple of my patronesses, and Roanoff leading me to these paths and leading me back into African Caribbean traditions, specifically that of Satanism and demonolatry, working with in the African Caribbean traditions, and now recently getting back into Voodoo. Amazing. That's how I know I'm on the right path. That's how I know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing because it's that confirmation. Every time you do something right, the spirits reward you. Just like a parent to a child. It's amazing. When you learn from your mistakes and you grow, you mature within the arts, the practices, even your day to day life, you get benefits. I'm considered a Bokor, okay, within Wudan because I was not initiated into this tradition. I gathered materials and sought out other practitioners to inquire. I started learning Wudan and applying it to my own life. A Bokor or a Kapalata is somebody who is uninitiated. But what they don't teach you is the fact that a Hungan and a Mambo can easily, by turning to black magic, become a Bokor or a Kapalata. You see, just as a uninitiated practitioner can easily become a Hungan and Mambo within Wudan. It goes both ways. So if you look at the practices, you look at your life and where you are being directed to, you're paying attention through your own intuition. You're looking at where the spirits are guiding you. You're looking at where your strengths are being applied, where your weaknesses are that you still have to strengthen. I did a just for shits and giggles earlier today. I was going through Google and I came across a horoscope. You got to apply your zodiac sign, your date of birth. Are you married or single? Yada yada yada. Minor information type stuff to see where it goes. And then you pick like three, four cards, and one of those cards, the last card that I pulled, was the Tower. The Tower card is one of destruction and creativity. Just like the Emperor has its perks, the Priestess has its perks, but the Tower card is very interesting because it's the only card where you have to destroy something, sacrifice, to be able to create, to find those benefits. So, oh, sorry, Harley. So I just moved my foot and didn't realize one of the cats was by my feet. That was my bad. So yeah, so I mean, responsibility is to the responsible. Anton LaVey was very, very head on with that one. In the nine satanic statements, he said, T-Bone, he said that Satan represents responsibility to the responsible. Responsibility to the responsible. Look at the world around you. Do you see this being applied? How many groups do you see worldwide? Worldwide. Subdivisions. Everybody believing themselves right. Everybody believing themselves right. Driven by ego and pride. In a state of slavehood to any given system. Now, how much of that knowledge, how much of the knowledge that they've gained, how much do they apply to their lives, their individual lives? I want you to think about this. I want you to start observing your life. Personally, for me, I've been working on mind, body, and spirit. I've been working on my breathing. I've been working on exercising the body. Physical strengthening. I've been working on the clarity of the soul. I've been focusing a lot on my mind. Okay, applying this stuff to my life, especially recently. I've been getting more and more into the arts, going further and further from this plane of existence because the world has lost its value to me. There is nothing in this world, just about nothing, I should say, that interests me outside of knowledge and wisdom, historical, mythological, folkloric, archaeology, through anthropology practices, through the study of the death and dying. As a necromancer, I've really delved into the spiritual aspects, finding out where my own origins. Okay. I see one of the cats found one of my son's toys over there. Pretty sure that was one of those spinning things that deal with barnyard animals. Didn't know he still had one of those. But anyways, as I was saying, and I do apologize for that little um, offshoot there. It was you see the aspects of this, the benefits of doing this, working with the spirits, getting away from the world. Nothing good comes from being a part of the world, especially if you're a part of the mystical and magical practices of the world religions. Okay, and I got to shave my goatee a little bit. It's rubbing up against my nose when I speak, making my nose itch. So, um, let's see. Let me just read some of these here. Precisely, the gods guide me, not mankind. Key words right there. There's an old expression that says you gain more, you collect more bees with honey than you do with bread. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Wow. And you know what's interesting about that Black Tower? That speaks truth on a lot of levels. For those of you who are not paying attention to the chat room here, the Black Tower just said, "I have always been told the spirits initiate you into those practices, not taking anything away from the traditional method of teacher and student." This, even from my own perspectives and understanding of the traditions that I've practiced and learned over the years, speaks true, especially more now than any other time. Bokor Leonard Emera even said that the spirits choose you from birth. You are chosen from birth into becoming an initiation. You basically initiated from the spirits at birth by the Loa, by the Orisha, by the demons, by the Jinn, the spirits, even the Devi. Okay, they choose you, not the other way around. More so, if you look at any given practice, the most powerful sorcerers and sorceresses out there are uninitiated by mundane perspectives of these traditions. These traditions that are trying to get you to become initiated are in it for the power. My way or the highway. And if you look at a lot of these traditions, they're no longer pure. They've adapted. They've adapted to the values of Catholicism. The saints, the Loa have now become saints. Santa Morte, for an example, has now become an image of the Virgin Mary. As of recently, it's now about sexual orientation. Again, worldly control factions, drama that doesn't need to be a part of these traditions, nor does it have to be. Whatever gender you choose to be, that's between you and you alone and the people you associate with. Has nothing to do with any given tradition. Should not be a part of that. It's like the new satanic faction of taking back what is that term these days? The LBGT, I think it is, if I remember correctly. Apparently, they're now taking back the definitions of queer and all this other crap. It's like, was this ever an issue? No, you're making it an issue. That is your choice to make something an issue. Has nothing to do with the spirits, has nothing to do with the traditions. Again, matter of control. Segregation, another form of slavery. If you look back in one of the notes that I had written down, let me get in here. Clairvius Narcissi. Okay. Considered himself to be a slave of a Bokor for many years. And this is viewed within two different perspectives. One, because of the people who grew up in these traditions, they believe in the magic of voodoo. Okay. That of the Loa. Okay. The power of the Loa, the power of the spirits. So the first thing is they accept it at face value. Face value. Okay. I was a victim of a Bokor's food zombie powder. Okay. I was dug up after a few days, brought back to life, had no control, worked on a plantation. Wow. Boko dies. Guess what? I'm free. That's the first viewpoint. Second, something you failed to do, like walking away from your children. You abandon your children, you abandon your family, you abandon your calling. Becoming a zombie was your punishment. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. You look at Christianity, the main body of it. They'll tell you point blank, he's the only way, meaning Yahweh, Yazad, Jehovah, Allah, the only way. But then they'll entrap you and say you can't do it on yourself. You can't do it yourself. Does that ring a bell between those two stories? Now you look at all these churches and temples out there, all these covens. Females in Wiccan and pagan traditions, priestesses, they rule the roost. It's a form of feminism. The feminist movement, where a male is not seen, even as a high priest, is not viewed as equal. And yet these traditions show you that the god and goddess are equals. Now, if the gods made you in their image, hmm, should both male and female not be equals? Like the witch and warlock of the old days? Think about that. So, like a parent to a teacher, or a parent to a child, the gods teach you. They've chosen you from birth. Doesn't matter what tradition. Back in 2017, I found out that Abaddon was my creator. It explains why I was very good at destruction, baneful magics. And here I am working with this new system over the last 4 to 5 years. And surprise, surprise, my patroness is of vile magics. Ironic how that goes, right? So you are born into these traditions. You're not initiated by practitioners. The spirits have chosen you from birth. I remember there was a story that I saw in a documentary on Vodou in Africa. It was a family lineage, ancestral. This guy's daughter was supposed to take his place. He flat out refused the Loa. And due to his consequence, and the consequence of his actions was that his daughter ended up in a coma. fell ill, fell into a coma, until he acknowledged that she had been chosen by the Loa. Hmm. Again, chosen by the spirits, guided by the ancestors, by these spirits. Even Asmodeus, in Islamic tradition, became one of the most powerful jinn out there. Hmm. Now he's a king within Goetia, demonolatry. Lucifer, an archangel, now considered to be the emperor, going from an archangel position to a ruler. Hmm. Sounds to me like a step up. But here's the thing, you learn from the spirits, they guide you. How many times have I told you the story about how I went from one side of this country to the other through faith? Even in the Bible, it says in 2 Corinthians, was it 5:7, I believe, chapter 5, verse 7, it says, "Walk by faith, not by sight." Here's the kicker: everybody said my car would not make it, and if it did, it would not be coming back with me. 2,995 miles one way. Times that by two, plus a week. The car lasted me another 5 years before I gave it up for another vehicle. Ironic how that happens. Why? Even with the amount of damage to that vehicle, it was metal on metal. I made it from South Tucson all the way to Bangor, Maine with that vehicle. That was back in 2013 when I came to Maine. Hmm. Talk about walking by faith. I believed in the spirits that I worshiped, that I still worship to this day. Everything I have, I owe to them because not only did they guide me to it, they taught me. Just like as being a parent, you're teaching your apprentices, you're teaching your temple, your coven, your church. You're teaching your children the values of what you've learned. Now, do you want to continue the hate and the segregation? Or do you want to start teaching your children and your apprentices the correct way? Not this watered down, corrupted systems that we know today. Choice is yours. But either way, you make yourself available to the public because you answer to them. And whatever you preach, make sure to back it up. Otherwise, you end up like Bog. Implosion, inbreeding of fighting, fury, slander, back and forth. Well, maybe even a divorce or two. Oh, wait, that already happened. My bad. But yeah, Hannibal, welcome back. So, yes, seriously, Harley? And she could have gotten down there and walked that way. Instead, welcome to the cats wanting attention. So yeah, that's always good. I'm glad you liked the content and everything that I put forth, Hannibal. So yes, you really want to make sure that you keep things pure. Don't be a part of these systems that are corrupted and watered down because it's only going to lead you to keeping that cycle of hatred going. It's going to keep you continuing the cycle of mistrust and backstabbing, basically. Look at corporations. That's all they produce. They train people to be just like them. You want to be an alpha? You want to be a good alpha? Lead by example. Leave the drama and the worldly shit behind. It does you no good. And if you're going to be a practitioner, you can't associate with the world. It just don't happen that way. And since I became a necromancer, my eyes have been opened in ways that I can't fully, put into words for you. When I dedicated myself to this path, when I dedicated myself to living in silence, I started seeing things. I started observing things that I don't want to be a part of. Being a Homo sapien, a person, a human in this world, I'm sickened by this world. I'm sick of what this world has done and what it's become. It sickens me to the point I don't want nothing to do with it. Which is why when I did that last video, I wasn't planning on coming back. But then a few days ago, I thought, you know what? Why not do an update? I've been led to this material for a reason. And here I am doing another video. Perhaps my days of educating you is not over. Maybe there's something that I need to see, or perhaps there's something that you need to learn. Either way, I'm more of the spiritual these days. And my intent is to keep this channel pure, to keep the content pure and uncorrupted. So, yeah. Anyways, I've said what I wanted to say. I want to thank the Black Tower for jumping on here with me. I want to thank the Basilisk of Darkness and Light for jumping on here with me. Hannibal, welcome back, and I'm glad you got a chance to jump on here with me. And until next time, always back up what you preach. Always make yourself available to the public. And most importantly, keep things fucking pure. All right? Don't let it get corrupted. Have a good day.